Welcome to Wild Deer UK, brought to you with our friends at JP Sauer & Son, Schmidt Bender, Hornady, Castrom Knives, Ase Utra Moderators, Universe Clothing and Spur Mounts. Morning everyone, I'm Mark Burridge from Wild Deer UK. Now I've been stalking deer for 30 years. This rifle, for 22 of those, the Sauer 202, has been my everyday rifle, and it's been an absolute stalwart for me. Today I'm going to be driving down to Guildford to Blaser HQ to pick up my very long awaited 505. Not only am I doing that, but I'm then going to drive to the borders, pick up the moderator, then drive to the west coast of Scotland, put it all together, zero it all, get out on the hill, stalk a stag, and do that all in 48 hours. Will I do it? Stay tuned to find out. As we set off from Norfolk, it's quite clear that we're going to be driving through Storm Eowyn. And after a tedious drive, we finally arrive at Blaser HQ to meet with the CEO, Frederic, and collect my new rifle. Right, Frederic, fantastic to be here. I mean, I've waited several months for this, as everybody does for 505, and I'm just so excited to finally come and actually see the rifle. Now, as you know, I'm going from a 202, which I've had for 22 years this year, in 270. And when I ordered this, I ordered it exactly the same, as much as I could in caliber, magazine capacity, etc., to match my 202. From my point of view, as a hunter, what are the main differences that I'm going to notice between my 202 that's 21, 22 years old and the new 505?
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of nuances.
Right.
I think design-wise, a Sauer is always a Sauer. It's a slim, elegant, light rifle. Mm-hmm. However, time goes on, there's definitely improvements. The 202 was modular. However, you needed pretty intense tooling to swap barrels, re-zeroing and all of that. That's all gone a lot easier. If you take the sling swivels out, you see you have an Allen key included in the sling swivel.
Right, yeah.
Go into your forend, loosen that, forend comes off. Okay, you see 3 screws, 1, 2, 3, they're labeled. That's how you undo them and do them up again. 1 turn each on each of them. They're tightened to 5 Newton meters by the factory. I always say hand tight's absolutely fine. Open the cocking lever and the barrel comes out, and that's how easy you can swap your barrels and calibers in the 505.
That is so much easier than the 202.
100%.
So much easier. So I've ordered this in 270. Mm-hmm. So what are my configurations, barrel caliber wise? What could I go for?
You can go for a lot. I mean, it's always easier for people to ask what's if something is available and then what is available. We go down.
So if I wanted to go 3006,
same bolt as your 270.
Okay.
Same magazine. Even you don't need to swap anything. You can go down to a 223. Okay. You can go up to a 9.3 by 62. You can go up to a 375 Holland and Holland. I mean, you can really do everything from Fox to Buffalo.
So it's a really, really flexible system to be out. So you could have one rifle system for all of your hunting.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. That's a really fantastic feature. Yeah. I'm so thrilled to see this in the flesh, and it's just such a gorgeous piece of wood. I've gone as well for the raised cheek piece because with the 202 it was just a fixed stock.
Yeah.
And I always found that for using different optics, I was raising my head too
100%.
much.
100%. And I always say that to people. obviously personally coming a lot from the driven bore shooting at home where you're shooting at moving targets. Everyone raves on about custom stocks on shotguns and made to measure stocks and how important it is to have a shotgun that fits you, and nobody seems to care with rifles. And it's so important that when you put that rifle onto your cheek, your eye is aligned with the reticule.
Yeah, one of the things I'm looking forward to with this particular rifle is getting that cheek weld just absolutely right for me.
100%.
And then depending on what scope I put on it, or whether I go for thermal or night vision or whatever it may be, I've got the ability there to actually raise and lower it and do whatever I need to do. It's going to be an absolutely indispensable piece of equipment in the armoury. I'm just so looking forward to it. So yeah, thrilled.
Amazing. Well, we'll continue on the action, scaled action. It's an all steel action, so it's milled from one piece, all steel, scaled just for reducing weight. The stability is 100% there. The action really only keeps everything straight and ensures a smooth cycling of the bolt. The bolt locks into the barrel, so the action itself doesn't actually bear any pressure,
really?
And that's why it only kind of needs to keep everything in line and smooth on steel on steel.
So it's more of a carrier.
It's a carrier rather than the system itself, because that bolt head goes straight into the barrel.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Then if you look at the safety, which is a huge kind of difference to your 202, on the 202 you've got a safety, you push up and down. On the 505, you actually have a manual cocking system. That means when that cocking lever is down, there's no tension whatsoever on the firing pin spring. Okay. That is the safest system there is. Nothing can happen. Even if the rifle is loaded and decocked, there is no tension. There is no danger.
It can't go off.
Exactly. And then you just push that up. And as always, red is dead. As soon as you see red, you know it's live.
No, brilliant. By the time we departed, it was abundantly clear this would be an all-night drive, as first we needed to stop in Dumfries and Galloway at Jackson Rifles in order to collect the new Ase Utra SL7i moderator. And so the magnitude of the challenge dawned upon us. This was going to be an absolutely epic deer-stalking adventure. After a typically tedious journey using the M1 and M6, we eventually staggered into Jackson Rifles. It was late, very late, but a warm welcome awaited, along with a much-needed brew. Soon the SL7i was fitted with the appropriate thread adapter, and our journey could continue. We still had 7.5 hours driving ahead of us, and it was almost midnight. The northwest coast of Scotland is a wild, woody place in winter. We are racing to avoid the destructive force of Storm Eowyn. Hopefully we will arrive in the very eye of the storm, which will give us the calm that we need to stalk our stag. Hopefully we get there in time. If not, we're going to get blown clean off the hill. Arriving some 15 hours after leaving Blaser HQ, we rested, but with no time to waste, were soon back at it. The Schmidt Bender 8x56 L3 illuminated was quickly mounted onto the 505, and now it was time to zero. Whilst at Jackson Rifles, we collected a small but indispensable piece of kit, the Red Eye laser, a perfectly engineered caliber-specific laser device. By carefully inserting the appropriate caliber Red Eye into the breech and closing the bolt, you activate the laser beam. A 25-metre target provided the perfect indoor zeroing range as Storm Eowyn raged outside. Having adjusted the 8x56 to the Red Eye, the proof was to shoot at a 25-metre zeroing target out on the range. The results were incredible, and the distance moved to 100 metres. With the best west coast weather, we were forced to retreat to await Storm Eowyn to pass over. Returning several hours later with the 202 and 505, we started our test at 100 metres. Back in January of last year, I was at Jagenhund in Dortmund, and I went onto the Sauer stand and met the CEO, Julian, and I asked him if I could order a new 202. I've had this rifle for 22, 23 years. It's been the absolute stalwart of my deer stalking career. Unfortunately, the 202 is no longer, but it has been replaced by the 505. And Julian recommended that I should go down the route of a 505 and get my order in. So let's have a look at the Sauer 202. 23 years old, it's had a lot of work, a lot of use. A fantastic stock on it, a lovely piece of walnut, and it literally comes up every single time I use it, comes back to the factory quality it was at. This has been put through woodlands up and down the UK, the hill in Scotland, it's been to Europe. I've shot every UK deer species with this rifle and wild boar, driven and from stands in Europe. So I'm not getting rid of the 202. I was looking to replace it because I fancied a change, and with the 505 coming, it seemed to be the perfect opportunity for me to do that. Now, what do you get with the 202? I put a Schmidt Bender 8x56 scope on it. This has been the scope on this rifle for its entire life with me. I've not had any issues with it whatsoever at all. It's never had to go back for any work. It has been absolutely faultless, which is why I do use Schmidt Bender over any other optics brand. Let's compare the optics on these two Sauers. So we've got the 202 and the 505. The 202 is running a 8x56 1-inch tube, which is a fixed scope. There's no zoom, there's no illuminated reticle, but it is still with the A7 reticle inside. The 505 is running the modern day equivalent, but it is the illuminated reticle. So it is the L3, so you get a tiny little red dot just in the centre of your crosshairs, but this is running on a 30mm tube. You're going to get slightly better light gathering, and obviously it's a more modern scope, so you've got a slightly higher specification of the components that are actually manufactured to make that. Now, from my point of view, I love both of these scopes, I love both of these rifles just as much. The 8x56 has done me absolutely proud in woodland and up on the hill in Europe, driven hunting, hunting from blinds, stands, high seats, everything. It gives me about 20 minutes extra light at the end of the day. What I've noticed with the new 8x56 from Schmidt Bender is that I'm now pushing that to 35 minutes. So in the low light levels, I have got a really clear, crisp image. I can quite clearly indicate the front shoulder on the animal, and I can make sure with the little red dot just on a very low setting that I can actually put that crosshair exactly where I want it. So one of the features of the new 8x56 illuminated is the fact that if you turn the rifle up for storage and you forget to turn off the illumination dial, the system will automatically turn it off for you. So you aren't going to run your battery flat. How many times have we put them in the cupboard, forgot that we've actually left them on, and a week or two later we've gone back to them, got out in the field, gone to turn the illumination on, flat battery. And you've never got a fresh battery with you when you're in the field. And we'll be on the red deer cull for the next few days, and because we're north of the border, it's necessary to use non-toxic ammunition. I'm going to be using a combination of the 270 130 grain GMX and also the newer CX from Hornady. Now, this is the bullet, this is the round, completely non-toxic. There's been a lot of debate south of the border with regards to the terminal velocity. What happens to an animal when you shoot it? All I can tell you is with the 270, whether I'm using the 202 or the new 505, with the GMX and the CX from Hornady, it's just accurate, deadly and dependable. As they say on the tin, it does exactly that. I can shoot a red stag, I can shoot a red hind at any distance that I choose, up to say 200. Let's face it, we're stalkers, we're not snipers. And this animal will be flattened by a precisely engineered bullet. So we've got those, but I've also brought with me for zeroing in, and on the way home we may well stop south of the border for some roe, the 130 grain whitetail, which is slightly different. If I get both of them, you can see. You can see you've got the lead tip there, and then you've got your ballistic tip. To this case, this is the GMX. Both the same bullet weight, but what I like about this is I can use either of those in either of these weapon systems. I don't have to change zero. They give me absolutely the same identical performance, which is remarkable. So well done, Hornady. Fantastic engineering. Now, moderator. We've got the Ase Utra S5. This has been on here since 2006. And again, it has been faultless. Absolutely no issues with it whatsoever at all. It's a stainless steel construction, and the moderation that you get, yes, it's heavy on the muzzle, but that actually does help with your accuracy, or I find it helps with the accuracy, and the actual attenuation that you get is remarkable. For anyone who shot a 270 with no moderator, which I did in the early years, you would never see the beast that you shot, because there was just this massive cloud of smoke and your sight picture would go up, come down. You wouldn't know if you'd scored or not. The moderators from Ase Utra transform deer stalking. Now, the 202 safety is an unloaded rifle for a start, but your safety mechanism, you have a push button on the top and a push button at the bottom, so you push down and then up. So down is the safety, up is to fire. It's changed on the 505. Turning round, mount system, we've got the Apple swing off mount system here. So if I wish to, I can quite easily remove the scope, put it back on, no loss of zero. I can say that hand on heart, I've done it a million times in the life of this rifle. It doesn't lose zero whatsoever at all. So, the 202, a lovely rifle. My absolute favourite in my collection of various different deer management tools. But let's look at the 505. So this is the 505 from Sauer. Everything about this rifle oozes quality. The precision engineering that's gone into manufacturing this is just remarkable. The 202 is a great piece of equipment. This is even better. Now, I've been on the hill with the 202 and with the 505. They both are a dream to shoot. They're light to carry, they're very easy to handle when you're on the hill crawling through the heather. They're even easier when you're shooting off of sticks, when you're in woodland stalking. And I just want to run through some of the features of the 505. Now, I have got a walnut stock, grade 5 in the Ergolux version, but for the hill I put on the synthetic thumb hole, and I have fallen in love with this. I've not had a thumb hole stock on a rifle. The Sauer 202 obviously was a standard rifle stock, but this, the way you can actually grip the rifle and get such a firm hold, it's comfortable. Even with gloves on, even in the rain, in the snow, it's a very comfortable position to hold that rifle. And as I say, I have fallen in love with the synthetic thumb hold stock, which I must admit surprised me. I didn't think I'd enjoy it. You've got an adjustable cheek piece, so it allows you for whatever optic you decide to use, and you can go to thermal, night vision, whatever. Again, very easy. You've got an access point at the back where you can just loosen off a screw. You use the key, which is provided helpfully in the base of the sling swivel, and you can literally just turn that quarter of a turn, adjust to where you want, lock it in place, and you're all good to go. You can also use that same key for this hole, which is underneath, if you can see that here. A half a turn and the synthetic stock is removed. At the back, in the butt, same thing again, turn that, half a turn, and then you can take the stock off. So very, very easy to change between the very pretty and beautiful 505, grade 5 Ergolux wood, and the synthetic that we've got here today. Another feature of this wonderful 505 is the fact you can actually look at this bolt for a start. Look at this. How well engineered is this? I'm just tipping it and the bolt slides effortlessly into place. It's not been oiled, it's not been lubricated. it's as it left the factory. Beautiful, beautiful engineering. So, imagine out in the hill, I'm loaded, I've now decocked the bolt. So this rifle will not go off, it is perfectly safe. I get up onto my beast, I get into the position, I push the cocking button forward, you can see that it's red, ready to fire, and away she goes. Now, if you wish to change the trigger pressure, you've got 4 different trigger pressures that you can select. So, quarter of a turn with the tool that comes on the bottom of your sling. Out comes your forend quite easily. And in here, you can see with the same tool, you can go position 1, 2, 3, 4 to give you 4 different settings for your trigger pressure. Very, very easy to adjust in the field or at the range, absolutely simplistic. On this side you've got 3 bolts, 1, 2, 3, quarter of a turn, half a turn on each of those, and you're able to remove the barrel. This is a modular rifle system. You can change barrels, so you can change calibers, and it is just, for me, a brilliant thing for me going forward, because I can now get different barrels and different calibers for one rifle, which means when I come to the Highlands I can bring my 270 30-06. When I'm down south I can go down to 243. So my first thoughts, what a beautiful piece of equipment. Does it work in the hill? Well, let's put it back together and find out. Thermal imaging devices have revolutionised deer management, day and night. With no luck spying from the vehicle, it's time to go on foot. And with the 505 safely and securely stowed in the Vaughan EV30 rucksack, now the field craft begins. With Eowyn passing overhead, we are stalking literally in the eye of the storm. Time and west coast weather wait for no man, so we push further up the hill in the hope of finding our stag. Observation is absolutely key in any type of hunting, and finally a stag was spied, but over a kilometre away. The stalk was on. Moving carefully, checking wind direction, and using the landscape to conceal our approach, eventually our perseverance was rewarded. Crawling flat on my belly, keeping my face buried in the heather, I reached a perfect position for the shot. It was game on. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Too many deer are missed through impatience. Perfect. In the UK, we show very little respect to our culled deer. Personally, I have adopted the European tradition of placing vegetation in the beast's mouth to represent its last meal and covering any exit wounds. A small but dignified sign of appreciation for the life taken. Very happy with that. That's 167 metres with the 270 Sauer 505, west coast of Scotland, on the deer management cull in this lovely little plantation which is under heavy pressure from deer browsing. And the 505 has done a fantastic job We spied this beast from almost a kilometre away. We've worked our way through, come behind the lock, up, using the features of the ground to actually tuck into a little bit of birch growth, crawled in, and using the sticks, which are the deer hunter sticks, on short, I managed to just sit, get the rifle in position, and yeah, that's gone exactly where I need it to be. Hornady 130 grain CX, the non-toxic rounds from Hornady. He literally took, I think you'll see on the footage, 2 or 3 steps to his, or my left, his right. Game over. So thank you, my friend. Let's get you back to the deer larder and get you processed. Having checked the stag for eye reaction and shown due respect to the animal, a quick field gralloch was performed. The staggy is then loaded into our newly designed drag bag. Extraction on the hill is often hard work, and the drag bag makes the task so much easier, whilst minimising environmental contamination to the carcass. It was a long drag to the meeting point with the Argo. And I was very glad to have culled a wee beastie.